Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of a band that has been out for 35 years. So, of course, with 35 years, you have made that happen because you have people that love you, that support you, that go to your shows, that buy your tickets, that are doing all of those things. And so Dave Matthews Band has picked up thousands and thousands and thousands of fans, not just in the States, but all over the world. And so this podcast covers the other 50% of Dave Matthews Band, which is the fan life behind why this band has been so successful. But not only that, but like, how has this music been part of our lives for so long? What does that look like? A lot of us were so young when this music first came out in 1991. And some of us have found the music along the way. We've had people on the show that are 13 years old and are just now finding the band. There was a guy that just found the band 3 years ago, and he's well into his 60s. And so there's no set kind of fan when it comes to any music, but especially Dave Matthews Banding, because that's what I know about. It's my favorite band, and I'm honored to be sharing the stories of the fans with you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. So today I have a guest like every episode. So if you are just listening to this for the very first time, every single episode of this podcast is completely different. There is a guest on every show that shares their story, their journey with the music. And so there's an unlimited amount of stories. Actually, it is limited. I only have about 200, almost we're like 180, 190 stories, fans that have come on to share their journey. And so if you listen to one and you're like, I can't really identify with that, go to the next one because it's completely different. And it's so cool to get all of the perspectives from all the different ages. And this is a generational band now. We've got grandparents that took their children, and now those children are taking their children. And so the stories are endless. And so this episode covers yet another journey of a fan. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself. Tell us who you are, where in the world are you, and tell us something cool about you.
My name is Kristan. I live in Illinois, right outside of Chicago, about half hour, 45 minutes out of Chicago. I'm a photographer. I love going to the shows. I guess one cool thing that my husband and I are doing is in 2019, we had kind of made a pact that we were going to see one show in a different state or a weekend in a different state every year.
Awesome.
So, and then COVID happened, and then we didn't. But, we've been working on it, and we've kind of done it, like, I think starting in 2022, we started doing that a little more often. So I think we've hit like 5 states. I don't remember, but yeah. So I guess that's a cool thing, right?
That is really cool. That's one of my favorite things to do with this band is hop states, because every state is so different. And I think people forget that, when people think about traveling, they're like, oh, let's go. I mean, there's so many amazing places in this whole world, but let's start with our own country. If we live, for those of us that live in the United States, we are so lucky to have 50 very different states. And Dave Matthews Band does a great job of being a vacation planner, if you will. Tell me where to go. Let's go to Indiana. Let's go to let's go wherever, right?
Exactly. I have to say, like, our furthest one, and so I was very fortunate. My son lives in Denver.
Awesome.
So so a few years ago I took him to see his first show, and blown away. And he realized, I can't remember what song it was now. He's like, hey, my history teacher used to play this song. And now I wish I remember this song. But anyway, so he was like really into it. He knew it from me playing it around the house, but
sure,
he was really into it. And he's like, Mom, The next time you come out and see him in Denver, I'm there. But a really cool thing, I don't know if you recall, a couple years ago now, it was Dead and Company's like last,
Uh-huh.
right? And it was in Boulder, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure. Anyway, and I kept saying, hey, there's rumor that Dave's going to be there. No, he's not. And he's telling his friend, he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, I don't know. Like, these rumors are sometimes true. Yep. And then Dave showed up and he was there and he calls me and he's like, holy
You
shit,
can.
Mom, he's here. He's here. I'm like, yes, he is. I told you.
How
You know,
how
like,
were you feeling? Were you like, "Oh god, I'm in a little jealousy," right? Like, "Oh god."
so much FOMO. And I'm like, all right,
Well,
you suck. I was
but also,
supposed to go.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, as I'm crying, you know, and they played
Oh,
The Wait, which was just so like, and I literally just heard that on like the XM or series, whatever it is. I just heard that and
yeah.
I'm like, damn it, I should have been there. I should
Yeah,
have
they're
been there.
doing such a good job. I'm the kind of person that has to have so when I'm listening to Sirius XM, we're spoiled in our car, but when we're at home, it's not always pulled up so we can see, the date, the time, the everything about the show. And so I had to click in to
Right,
see where because I was like, this is amazing. And it was
right.
that show and that song, of course. And I was like, damn, that was solid. I'm
I have
so glad.
I had goosebumps. I had goosebumps.
Oh,
Like literally that next day, I'm on like YouTube, like trying to find like video of it, and of course I'm getting like little clips. I'm like, bring it, people, please! Like I need to see
oh
this,
wow.
and it was so
Yes.
cool. You know, I mean, I've seen him a few times, but like Dave is kind of like controlled everything, and I have such a broad like liking of so many different like genres of music. So I go through these things, but Dave's always there. Dave Matthews Band's always like in the background. So
Always. Well, I got a
yeah,
couple questions. So let's talk about your photography. I can see in the background a couple of things. So tell us, like, what's your focus? Like, what kind of photography do you do? Because I know people, like, especially I've had other photographers on the show. One of them being the official photographer for the Dave Matthews Band. So a lot of photographers on the show.
what's his name?
Rodriguez.
No! Oh my god, I think I tried to friend him on Facebook because I'm fascinated with, you know, his because of course, like people say, do you ever want to photograph that? Because I do our concerts here in my town. I do
Oh
like some concert
wow.
photography. So I like see some of the stuff he does and I try to emulate some of it and like some of the stuff that he's amazing. Like he is fantastic. So yeah, he's amazing. So Rodrigo, if you see this, like, hey,
Hey,
do you ever
you've got to
want
go
to share
back,
on
everybody
video?
that's listening. And of course, you, Kristen, like go back and watch it. Of course, it's easy to find because the name of the episode is The Guest. And so it'll say, of course, Rodrigo Simas. And so go back. His story is so interesting because he was a fan that just made it happen, and here
Made
he is, and it's just so good, and so that's why I had him on the show is because he is such a fan. He was a fan first, and then years later, it became what it is
That's
now, but
wonderful.
go back and listen to that for sure. So what do
Yeah,
you do some concert, which I'm so jealous of that. I'm sure that's so cool.
it is, and actually we have a band that is there's actually they open, I think, for Bon Jovi, they're called Seventh
Wow.
Heaven. Anyway,
Yes.
we've had them a lot, you know, and I've actually it's actually on my Facebook page maybe, I don't remember, but, like, you know, you have that image in your brain, and I'm like, "I'm gonna get a picture of him, like, pointing to the crowd, and everybody's hands are up in the
Yes.
air."
Yes.
And I finally got it. I finally got that image, and I was like, "Yes!" You know, because we had like, this band has some hardcore fans, like, and they just, like, crowd the stage, and, like, I'm just the lonely, like, volunteer photographer doing it for, like, our village, and I'm just and
Right.
everyone's like, "Hey, let me in," you know?
Right.
But, you know, but the coolest thing is we a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we actually saw Dave Matthews Band, I think in Alpine, and then we were back home, and then that Thursday, we had one of the cover bands, which is an excellent cover band called Trippin' Billies,
Yes,
and
I've heard of 'em.
yeah, so, it's with their old lead singer, but I got to photograph that, and I'm like, "Okay, I guess this is the closest I'll ever get, but okay,
You
I'll
never
take it."
know. You never
You
know, girl.
never
Put
know.
it out into the universe.
Absolutely. So, but what I say, like, what pays my bills, is, you know, because photography is not a cheap thing to be into. Um,
Girl, those
yeah.
lenses are expensive.
Oh, the lenses are expensive. I just upgraded, like, my camera. I'm gonna get getting, like, another camera, like, so I have my backup
Yes.
camera. I'm
Yes.
ordering some, like, light modifiers today. So I'm like, "Oh, Lord." But nonetheless, and I've always loved family portraiture, but I also like my artistic side. I really enjoyed, I don't know if you can see it or not. Really, there's some blue stuff up there, like photographing, like anything, like any vintage lighting, any vintage lights, like hotels, restaurants, theaters, whatever. So whenever I go to a new town, I'm always like searching for, finding like that vintage light. I mean, like I did a wedding
Yes.
last year in Lake Geneva, and I found like two really beautiful signs there. I like to have like the long exposure, like light trails. And so I bring a
Yes.
lot of elements together in it. I did like New Jersey, like I did Sea City, New Jersey. There was so much there. And actually the one that I missed, a handful of years ago, I was on a tornado or storm chase with a group of people. And I decided not to go to town because I wasn't feeling great, because you're on the road, you just don't eat well. And you're just like, ugh,
Mm,
I'm staying
yep.
in. First, we're in North Dakota. And then later on, I see the most beautiful neon theater sign. I'm like, well, maybe that means I take another trip. But I did get the Northern Lights that trip. So,
Oh, wow.
and some cool tornado pictures. So I'll take it.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so that's my thing. That's my jam. Like I have like a couple of personal projects kind of going on, but the neon lights are like my thing. And it just, but life
I
gets in
love
the
them.
way, kind of not as much lately. And just seeing like, different things, is just in random travels. Not that I travel anywhere extensively, but when I'm ever in a new town, that's what I do.
Yep.
Yep, and that's really like that's probably the biggest part of my like I did bring my husband into, like, loving Dave Matthews.
We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I wanna get to how in the world did you even find this band? Like, how did it enter your life, and why did you hold on to it?
So I actually, you hear, like, I think I've heard, like, Ants and Gray Street, like, the mainstream popular
Yeah.
songs,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
"Oh, I like this. I like this. I like this." And so back in, like, the early-ish mid-90s, maybe mid-90s, probably been, like, 96, 97. I can't remember exactly. I knew my brother was a fan, and we had gone to dinner or lunch, I'm sorry. We worked by each other, and, we had gone to lunch, and I handed something to him through the passenger side of his car window, and I looked down, I see a CD. I'm like, "Oh, hey, like, let me listen to this." I'm like, "I've heard about this, blah, blah, blah. I wanna try it." So I'm listening. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I really love this." Fast forward, like, a day or 2, because now I've borrowed a CD. I've gotta give it back here soon. And, my that's what the person who I used to be married to, not a fan. Not a
Yeah.
fan, did not like him at all. He was just kinda like he's like, "I don't ever wanna see this CD again." I
Well,
was
he
like,
made it
"Dude."
clear.
He made it very clear. And, yeah, of course, like, I listened when I could or whatever, but let me tell you, upon separation several years later, do you know how much music I downloaded to my computer after I could? So
All of it.
and then I listened to one of the Red Rocks shows, and I was just like, "Holy crap," you know? Um, amazing, and,
Yes.
yeah. And
That's all.
and it was really cool. And I'm like, I need this. And so, you get to start listening, you're listening, and I'm like, this, and then you're starting to hear songs like, Bartender, Gravedigger, Granny, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God,
Yes.
like, I love this. And his library of music is just huge.
It's
And
incredible.
you're trying to absorb it all. And then you just keep like moving a warehouse. I'm like, oh, that song, like, it's got the end that kind of sounds like a little calypso-y-ish, whatever that is. And
Yes.
I'm like, and I'm sitting there as a newbie, like, it has this in it. And then you find out what it is. And of course, you want to find what's the reason behind it, and why was it written, and when
Right.
was it written, and what else. So, like, then I go down these like rabbit holes, like wanting to know everything about it. And so
Yeah.
I went to my first show pretty much like as a newbie, July of 15, and it was at Northerly Island. I know poor Northerly Island does not get the love, but hey, it's close to home. I'm doing it. Because you just did, and that's actually what my husband says. He goes, "It's Dave. You just gotta go." So,
Yeah.
and that's actually one of the shows that I'm 99% sure, like, the lovely ladies were at. And the thing is, like, looking back, like, I didn't realize, like, how unique that was at that moment, knowing that they
Right.
weren't gonna really be a part of it going
The
forward.
future. Right.
Yeah, and, and so, of course, I'm on DMB Hub, and I'm like, of course, I'm, like, always, like, going back and looking. I downloaded and I put every concert I've been to, and I'm like,
Yes.
holy crap. And so and like I said, like, looking back at it now, you're like, "Did I seriously see that?" Now I'm like, did I appreciate it enough at the moment?" And you start looking at, like, lyrics, and you try to
Mm.
figure out, like, what exactly they mean because they can be, like, a little elusive, and even Dave has said
Right.
that, right? And he's
Right.
like, "I don't," he's like, "You take it for what it is," or whatever it is that he
It's
says, like,
art, right? It's up for
but
interpretation. I believe
yep.
that.
And for the longest time, like, 41 was my song, that and Every Day. Like, I could listen to them
Yeah.
every day, and, and I'm looking up, like, the reasoning behind 41 and why that was written, and, there's a couple of different, like, I guess, things out there that, people have said, and
Mhm.
okay, and sometimes you just gotta, like, take it for what it is and just absorb it and enjoy it for
Right.
but
Right.
that's really what drew me to the music. I mean, first of all, first, like, like I said, like, having that opportunity to start listening and then
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Guide Through Grief. I'd like to share a clip from the podcast so you can get a feel for what's in store. It was definitely Dave Matthews Band. Their music became therapeutic. Steady as we go. There was one night Leslie was in the hospital when she was in a coma, and I had no other prayers. I had no other things to say. And I found myself just singing her that song a bunch that week. I really leaned into their music to get through.
I'm glad you had Dave.
What was it like? Because what were you listening to? Like, what was your jam before Dave Matthews Band? Before you picked up that CD and listened to it that you borrowed from your brother, what was in your ears?
growing up, I was, like, super into, like, Journey, Def Leppard, like, any of that 80s music just, like, really, like,
Yeah.
resonated with me. A lot of just, like, mainstream stuff, and, like, I went as far as, like, I was really into, like, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill for a while, and
Yeah,
then
yes.
to, like, the countryside, listen to, like, Johnny Cash and even, like, classic rock. Like, I was literally all over the place, and I just wondering, like, it's just some of his blending of music. Like, you
Mm.
just get, like, even like I said, with, like, Warehouse, like, you kinda get that, like, that calypso-y, I don't even know if that's the right word, you know?
I always call it like a salsa. I don't even know if that's right, but, like, I know exactly what you're talking about because it's
Yeah,
that moment where everybody feels like you need the salsa in the song, it's so fun
yeah,
and it works and it's so
yep.
different to be thrown in there. That I love that.
Yeah, it's like you just gotta bust out and dance at that point if you aren't
Yes.
already.
Right.
Um,
It
and I
calls
just,
for it.
you just get the feels from everything, and and it's funny because 2015 being, like, our first show, we also drove to Pittsburgh, like, later on that summer, actually fall, and we listened to the Dave Matthews Band, channel on Sirius the entire 8.5, 9-hour trip there, and then all the way back. Like, we
Wow.
listened to it, and then you're just really hooked, and then you can't
Oh,
stop.
yeah.
It's the only thing that's on in our car,
Me
except for
too. Me too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
but
that's not necessarily true because I have a 15-year-old and she is not listening to Dave Matthews Band. So, and part of me loves that because she's teaching me so much about current music. And while I have my favorite band and I love it, I also want to continue learning because there's so many amazing artists out there. And so,
Mhm.
could I listen to Dave Matthews Band 24 hours a day? Yes, and have on many occasions.
Yeah,
However, I do listen to other things on a daily basis.
yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, the same thing, like, I just went and saw Porter Robinson with my son at the Salt Shed in Chicago, and I
Awesome.
knew some of his music, but then I'm like and there's something about having it, like, live, just does so
Oh,
much
yeah.
more, and I'm like, "Holy crap," like, and then I listened to Porter Robinson for, like, a week, you know?
Yes.
But, like, leading into it, like, and I kinda explored, like, even, like, EDM, like, genre for a while. I was
Heck
really into,
yeah.
like, Zed. And, so, I mean, I've got, like I said, broad, and but just something with, his music just kinda keeps me engaged much better, I guess, so
For sure. 2015 was an interesting time to come in because I also went, and I shared this before we started recording, but 2015 was the year that I also went to my very first show, and I did get the lovely ladies, although I didn't know any different at that time, right? Because that's just what we had heard,
Right.
because it was such a big part of the past. And so it was not expected, but not a surprise. But I didn't realize, because we don't know the future, right? That I would never see them again, or I haven't, unless they come back, I will never see
Right.
them again. And also, we had Boyd at that time,
Oh.
right? Because Boyd was
Yep, we
still
did.
part of the band in 2015. And so
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know. And so even us just kind of being in the live part of it for 10 years, we've seen some changes in this 10 years ourselves.
Definitely, 100%. And I remember seeing Boyd, and it was funny because like I followed him on Twitter, and then one day, and then I got like a follow back from him, and I'm like, all right, is this like a
Hey.
service account? And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I don't even like because you get those psychos,
Oh, yes,
I mean,
100%. Dave Matthews all the time is trying to be my friend on Facebook.
Dave Matthews has tried to friend me so many times, and I just like, Dave, no, I'm married.
Yes, of course. Stop coming after me. My God, guys, like we know, but there are thousands of people that think that we are going to fall for that fake stuff. Come on, guys. Come on.
I say it to my house. I'm like, look at Dave Matthews wants to be my friend.
Yep, I'm sure he does. He just don't know you, and he don't know me, and so. But if he did, girl, we'd be in.
Yeah, we did. We'd be like BFFs with him, man.
BFFs, yeah, man. Let's go sit around that campfire, talk about dreams and aspirations. So, I have to talk about your first concert again, because again, this is such a pivotal moment in a fan's fanship. So, you're listening to the CDs, even if you're listening to those live tracks, are you prepared for the first live show? I don't think anyone can be prepared for what's going to
No.
happen, because especially if you've only ever listened to studio albums, if you've never listened to live, but if you have listened to
Right.
live, you're like, okay, they do a little bit different, or a lot different than their studio. Take us back as best as you can remember. And I know 2015 was 10 years ago and things get blurry real quick. Okay. But what stuck out to you? Like, a lot of times I hear the energy or the crowd, or just, there's so many multiple things that are happening at a live show, not just the music. Like, take us back, and what did you have some expectations? Were those fulfilled, or were you surprised?
So 0 expectations, because I had no idea. I just knew I love a lover of like live music, and in Chicago, like I love Chicago. It's a very diverse crowd, as far as you have your like people who just like, and nothing against people who like just show up and not know much about the band, because they were like me, right?
Right.
So you get people around you who just don't know much and talk a lot, and and then I was kind of like really into it. But what stuck out was it was kind of cool. It was really nice because you got, I don't know if have you been to Northerly Island?
I haven't.
Okay, so you are like literally on a tiny little island in the lake, and it was just so beautiful. And then and you just see the skyline, and then you have Dave up front, and to me, I just knew I wanted to get as close as I could. And some of the, like, I didn't know a lot of the music. Like, I knew some of it, but then I didn't know other stuff. And what stuck out was Every Day. That song, believe I had heard it, and it just didn't, like, I guess was a word, I'm like, resonate with me or whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
hanging with the lovely ladies, like that, if anything stuck out, it was that. And just like the jam session that was kind of surrounding the whole thing, and how much they jammed. Like, they would just kind of go on and on and on. You're like, this is so cool. Like, they're just kind of, and you've been to shows, like, that they, like the Stone can just go on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Or 18. You never know.
You just never know. So you're like, so for me, like, that's what stuck out, like a couple of really good songs, and but that is the one thing, like, definitely just being in the midst of it, midst of like the Dave fans, realizing that I was probably one of the older ones at that point because we were on the lawn, but that's okay. Like, whatever.
Yeah, and I know you know this now because you've been to more than one show, but there are every age of people. I mean,
The little
every
kids,
age. Yes.
right? When the little,
It's
like, did they
so
bring, like, their
awesome.
shirts to my first Dave show? So, I kept telling when I took my son to his first show in, I think it was 23, so funny, like, I'm a photographer, and I do some work with Easter seals. I'm not sure
Oh,
if you know what that
yes.
is.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
I do some work with Easter seals, and it was like so when I was getting my degree, we actually worked the college I got my degree through does work with Easter seals, and they assign students to like to the program, and then they match up with a family, and then you do like a photography session for them, and then the
Oh, that's
pictures go into
awesome.
like their different buildings. And so in that year, my photograph ended up being on the marketing material for the ceremony and stuff. So like, I'm not gonna call it a contest. They just picked my image. So
It's great, or they wouldn't have picked it.
it was the sweetest little girl, loved the family. And so what happened is like that the show was the same weekend as the ceremony, as the reception. And I was like, oh, crap. And so I had to move, couldn't go to Friday night show, but I got to go to Saturday out at it's Filler's Green. And
Oh,
I
yes.
changed my flight and literally went, it was a morning reception, went to the reception and literally stayed there as long as I could. My stuff was packed. I got to the airport, checked in, changed into like some comfortable clothes. My son picked me up from the airport and we went home. I was able to change into like my concert clothes and
Heck
then we
yeah.
went straight to the show. And then by the next evening, I was back on a plane and heading back home. I was like there for like less than
God
36 hours.
bless.
But it was
God
the
bless.
most fun time. It
Right.
was
So
actually,
worth it.
yeah, and it was actually that it was like so freezing where like they were getting some snow.
Oh,
Yeah, the
yeah.
first night there was snow. And I think that's when he called himself like Mr. Brady. I don't know if you've
Oh,
ever, yeah,
uh-uh.
he's like, if you like whatever Brady and I'm Mr. Brady. And I'm like, oh my God. It was just so funny because I listened to it like that night before, but it was cold. It was freezing. Like we were in like 2 jackets and like rain gear, but it was fun. Like I never forget it. But I was
Good outdoor cold concerts because sometimes we get a Blazer Dave or Scarf Dave.
yeah. But I coming back from it, like, how the next day you just sit there and you're like, "Oh my god, that was so cool." Like, that was so
Right.
cool, and you just kind of
Right.
replay everything in your head. Yeah, so that definitely was just and it got me addicted, and then I think it was the following year, that's when Dave and Tim played, or was it 2 I don't even remember. Was 2015 2 sets? I thought that was 2 sets. One was
Girl, I can't
acoustic.
remember.
Yeah,
On the
okay,
spot?
so I think 2015 was the year of 2 sets where one half was acoustic. Should we look that up? Yeah, okay. And actually look at it. I must have been looking this up because it came right up. So, yes, it was, if I think this is Dave Matthews, July 5th, 2014. And I think it was the 2 sets. So, yeah. And actually
How
Warehouse, I heard
incredibly cool.
Warehouse.
This was in 2015?
Yeah, I want to say so. Actually, maybe
Oh.
it's right there. So oh, no. Oh my god. Renee, I lied. 2014 was my first show. So I'm a swimmer. Yeah. And, and, like, Idea You and Stay, oh my god, like,
Mm.
I'm hearing all this, like, and I'm like, it's just like, oh, bringing me back. And actually, You and Me, like, that's my husband and my husband and I got
That
married a
just
few years
goes to
ago.
prove oh, yeah, that was y'all's song?
That was our
You and
song. That
Me?
was our wedding song. You and Me.
Oh, I
That's what we
love
danced to at
it.
our wedding in 2021. Oh, yeah.
I love
We fell
that.
in love over Bill Big Whiskey. That was, like, the first thing, like, the first, like, album, like, I shared with him. I'm like, "You gotta listen to this." And I actually gave him my copy of the CD, and I'm like, "You gotta listen to this." And he listened to it, and he called me, he's like, "Oh my god, I love this!" And now he's a huge fan.
So let's talk about that. So you met
Okay.
him. How does this all because like I remember telling Justin because we got married in 2019. I was
Okay.
already a fan, and was bringing that into the relationship. And so how did that go for you to kind of like, was he already a Dave fan or was that something that you kind of had to introduce to him and now he's a big fan? Or like, tell us about the progression of this relationship because Dave is such a heavily involved in this relationship, right?
He is, yeah.
He's in it. He don't know about it, but he's in it.
Yeah, did it. I don't know if you can see. There's a picture of Dave up there.
I
up
do
on the
see
top.
it. I
See that? Yeah, and
do.
actually, the outline of that whole thing, like, has all, like, the artist put, like, all the different names of his songs. Like, so it's
And
all, like,
that's
printed
makes up
in
his face?
can you I don't know if you can see it still
Oh, I
up there.
do.
Yeah,
Holy
so basically,
moly.
like, some of it's really teeny tiny, like, his eyebrows got, like, were, like, a different all the different names all over his face. Coolest thing
Wow.
ever.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What is going on, Space Between podcast listeners? This is David, drummer with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, here to tell you about some of our upcoming tours to close out this year and to start the next. We are super stoked to be hitting the road December 26th through 30th for our Gamblers and Robbers New Year's Eve run to close out 2025. We're going to be playing some of our favorite venues around the Northeast for this mini tour, so we hope to see some of our usual faces there and newcomers to ring in the new year with us. Then, after a short break to start 2026, we're going to be hitting the road for the remainder of our Tomorrow We Die tour. This winter tour will feature dates in the Northeast and Midwest in January, with a run down to the Southeast and Florida in February. Moving on to March, the highlight will be going out west for usual stops in the Colorado area, but then this time making it all the way to California for 4 shows on the West Coast, which we could not be more excited for. Go ahead and grab your tickets at thedmtb.com, and we hope to see you on the road. Enjoy the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, so I love it, and so it's hanging kind of on my wall of randomness.
Which is a good
anyway,
time to say, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can watch this and you can see the drawing that she was just talking about. It's just go to YouTube, type in the Space Between podcasts, and all of them, most of them are there so you can watch them instead of just listen to them. I'm glad that everyone's going to get a chance to see that, because I don't know that
Yeah.
I've seen that, or if I have, I've forgotten, but that's amazing. I don't know if a fan did it or what, but it's amazing what the fans are doing in
Yeah.
this community. There's so much talent.
it was like I was at a fine art show, and they
Yeah.
had, like, there's a tent there. They had, like, all kinds of different, like, art, like, musicians, and I
Yeah.
saw Dave, of course, like, I gotta pick Dave,
Hello.
so, yeah, so very, very cool. But so, back to my husband and I, so he is basically, he just loves music. He could listen to anything. He wakes up on Sunday morning before me, and he's usually listened to, like, modern jazz, or, he listens to everything. And so,
Yes.
but I was more of a fan than him. I was more of a fan than he was, but he knew some of the songs, kind of a thing.
Sure.
So, like I said, Big Whiskey was out, and I'm like, hey, you got to listen to this. I love it. I must have listened to that CD over and over and over. And so I lent it to him, and he called me, and he was like, this is absolutely amazing. And it was fairly early-ish in our relationship, because we were friends for a very long time before we became together. And
Right.
and you and me, he's like, this is us, because both of our kids were getting to that age where they were ready to, fly away. And
Yes.
so he so that was like, he loves that song. And when they played it at our first show, like, he looks at me, I look at him, and I just, like, I start crying. And
Yes.
so he is, I don't know, and it's so funny, because he's also like an encyclopedia. Like, he knows a lot of different things. I know a lot of different things, and, like, so we get to talking, and he gets so excited about it.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
he really does, and he loves that we both, like, love this together.
Good.
He doesn't say no. I'm like, can I buy both nights posters? Not that I have to ask him, but I'm like,
Well,
you
yeah.
$100 on posters. I'm like, I'm gonna buy, like, both nights and the weekend poster and the tour poster.
And he's like, okay, because
yeah,
he's
he's like,
into
that's
it
fine.
too. It's
Yeah,
a win-win situation.
Yeah, yeah, and, but I was the one, like, so we would only go to, like, one show. Like, if Alpine was, like, 2 nights, we would pick a night and just go. And then I kind of pushed it a little bit, like, let's do a weekend. Let's make a weekend of it. We can go into, and, go by the lake, and we could do all these different things. And so the first time we did that, he was like hooked. Like we have got to like, he's like, we got to make it weekend all the time now.
Alpine weekends are magical. I've only done it once just because it is so far. It is on the list. It is just different than everywhere else. The band loves it. The music's amazing, unless there's a tornado, right? And that's the only if.
Tornado. So yeah, that was like, so what was that? It was 2024, tornado.
Yes.
And I remember like,
that's so scary.
And, and I just say like, after it took us a while, and I just don't know because we were just kind of like, just a little quiet in the beginning, but we started meeting more and more people. And you're building like your Dave family. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh, hey, you need to go to, like you can stay at our house. Like, you can do this, you can do that. And, so like we were meeting some people that we were there from the night before. And I was like, hey, like, it's me at the front. Let's do this. Anyway. And then the weather's just getting more and more gloomy. And I am that like weather watcher girl because like I love, the severe weather. And so I'm like, ooh, this doesn't look good. And of course, like you can't get any internet. So even trying to follow any of the weather maps, it was like terrible. So, I mean, if anything, like Live Nation really needs to consider like figuring out a better way to like inform their people because like, we moved up to like the, where they serve the food and stuff, the shelter. And security guy goes, this isn't a severe weather shelter and you need to leave.
Didn't they send everybody to their cars, which is way less safe?
They canceled it and security was good about that. Like they were like yelling it out, like the show's been canceled, like go, you need to leave. But the thing is like at that point, like the weather was imminent. Like it was happening. It was like, it was on top of us. And I looked at my husband's name was Jim. I looked at him. I said, we are have to book it to our car, and hope that we're okay or we stay here. And he's like, let's just book it. And I'm like, okay. So we hauled, but we got there. We sat in our car. I've got like video of this and like you couldn't see in front of you. And like there was, I don't even know, like 12 tornadoes like in the vicinity.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. We were watching because there were some people out there and, hey, you do you. I don't pass judgment. But you're out there like still trying to barbecue and tailgate. And I'm like, what are you doing? But we were watching a group of people with like the pop-up tent holding on, like had people, like 2 or 3 people holding on to each bar. And I'm like, oh dear God. I'm like, and the thing in a situation like that, you're more concerned about like flying debris, because even if a tornado isn't happening to you at that moment, like you could get really hurt. So I just think that and nothing that Dave Matthews Band did. It was just, I think a Live Nation thing should have been a little more prepared in that situation. I know there were a couple minor injuries, but everybody was okay. And then everybody got out of it. So so there's a little serious there, but nonetheless,
Dave Nato. It's a historical thing now. And it went down as Dave Nato.
Right. I think that we went back Sunday and he opened with like Virginia in the Rain and JTR.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and so we're all like looking at each other and we're like, holy cow, like this is such a great opening to this show.
Yes.
Yeah. But so, and actually, I don't know, we just purchased the Live Tracks, the one that just came out, Live 72 at Northerly.
Yes. And, that came out so fast.
And literally, and that, I have to say that show was probably, I've been to like I think it's 19 shows, but I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, like this is from Chicago. We were here. Like, so we have to buy this. We have to buy the LP. We got to buy the sweatshirt. And, sure enough, I bought the LP, but my husband kept saying, oh, I want this. I mean, I was game for anything. I want to hear whatever he's going to play, he's going to play. But he's like, I want to hear The Stone, and I want to hear, I think, Pig. And he had a bunch of songs he wanted to hear. And like, they hit him all. And he's like he's not one of these ones that gets overly excited. He just, arms crossed, he nods. And I look at him like, he's like, he was really excited. So it was just a really good memory. We met some really cool people at that show, who saved some spots for us on the lawn. So, and that's what I love, like the family you start to build and the friends you start to make. And, you don't even have to know them for long. And they're like, I got you, like we were heading into Deer Creek and I'm like, I need a poster. We're a little bit behind. And I showed up and somebody got me a poster. Like,
Wow.
So it's just amazing.
It's
Amazing
the
what these hardcore fans are just, it's really cool. Like the
When
people
did
are
that
just so,
start to dawn on you? Like, when did you start to see that in action and did you get involved? Do you remember how? Because I remember it was all about getting online, right? Because that's
yeah,
where you get into the groups, especially on Facebook, the Arkansas specific or whatever specific, and then getting to know those people and having those meetups that are done through all these different fans at different venues. And that was how it worked for me as far as like getting to know people. And once you got to know people, then I mean, networking is everything in anything, right? And so just
yeah,
knowing how it works, being hooked up with people that knew way more about the system of all of this than me, and just listening to stories. Was it like that for you? I mean, did you get involved in groups on Facebook, or did you just really kind of just start meeting people at shows?
So the first like Dave Ann that I met was a friend of mine, her husband. Like we just didn't know that, I was kind of a newbie, and he was like since his college years, right? And he's
Yeah.
probably like 7 8 years younger than me, and he's like, "Oh, you're a Dave fan too," and his name is Eric. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you got this and you got this," and I kind of looking at him like, "Okay, I know about half of the things he's just said. I better go look up the other ones," But then he would always we text each other occasionally about Dave shows, especially during COVID, like hearing like some of his like
Mm,
live acoustic things that he was doing, and that's the
yes.
first person that I connected with. But then it was more so probably the last like 2 3 years that we've really, like, of course, I've always belonged to like the Facebook pages, but never really like integrated into them too much. But like
Right.
started to develop like friendships and seeing people show after show after show. And then you're friends on
Yes.
Facebook, and you're kind of like, you can reach out to them, like,
Right.
"Hey, are you going to XYZ show?" I mean, somebody that we made friends with like over the summer in Chicago, like they're into tripping billies, like big time. So,
Yes.
so I know we can always catch up with them. I mean, we have another guy, his vocal coach. Yeah. Who's Dave's local vocal coach? Oh, I have a picture with him.
Rob or Rab.
Rob. And so I saw him for the first time in 2023. Like I guess I call like in the wild, like out in the
Yes.
groups,
Like,
and
what are you doing here? What?
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh," and he's so sweet. Oh, like I'm hyperventilating, right? And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's him, it's him, it's him." And and Eric and Jim are both like, "Hey, just go up and say something, say hi." And I'm like, "Okay," quirky.
No, I mean, we've all had those moments like, I don't even know my name. Hi.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, hi. I just want to say hi and see if you'll give me have a picture.
Yeah. He's used to it, right? He's used to it.
And yeah, and he was so sweet about it. He was like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "Good, just happy to be here." And I'll never forget, like, so I'm like, "Hey, I'm at a Dave show with my new boyfriend." So I text a picture to my son. I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm at a Dave show with my new boyfriend."
What did he say?
He was like,
Oh,
"Mom,
wait,
you're
did
a
you
liar.
send
I
that
can see
picture?
him."
Oh, you sent that picture of Rob and oh my God. Okay.
So it's
Oh my,
me and
what?
Rob, right? I'm like, "Hey."
Because
And then
does
I
he
said, "Listen."
know? He had no idea who Rob was, right?
No, no, but
Okay.
my son, my younger son, my older son likes Dave Matthews, but my younger son's the one that like a little more into it. So I text him
Right.
a picture. I'm like, "Hey," and so he's like, "Mom, you're a liar. I can see Jim in the background." He looked at me. He opened it.
Man. But
So I'm like,
oh my
"Hey, this
God.
is the closest I'll probably ever get in my whole life of ever meeting Dave Matthews." So
You never
I got to
know.
touch Rob.
You never know. You never know. But
You
those
never
those
know.
moments
You
are
never
fun.
know.
And that's how it happens though. It doesn't happen like scheduled, right? It's just a happenstance. We just
Right.
happen to be at the same place at the same time and we happen to get a picture.
Yeah, and having a picture. So that's my favorite thing. But yeah, I mean, like, so I love the music. I just love just how it makes you feel. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, and even like lately, like a lot of it, like he was in Chicago at like a Cubs game. I'm like, damn it, why did I go to that particular Cubs game?
Right. Right.
But you know, it's just fun. And you just feel like so like at ease,
Yes.
and you just feel like, you can just kind of let go at his shows. And
Right.
like I don't really like, I'm not a drinker. Like, I don't
Right.
partake in, like I say, that's all I'm going to say. Don't partake in a whole
Right.
lot. But I also, like, people like have forever said that I am like high on life. Like, I am that
That's
person.
an amazing place to be.
Yeah, for sure. And and it's just, you just don't have to worry. Like, you just gotta let go. And I can be pretty tightly wound at times, and it's just showing up there, just relaxing and kicking back and enjoying the music just does something, and what I really love is the people watching. People are just so
Mm,
into it, and like
true.
you go, like you have fun with this, and I love that.
Me
It's just
too.
so it
It's a
feels
lot of,
good.
for me, it's like I am such a people watcher too, and not like in a creepy way, but I think everybody enjoys some level of just watching other people, especially when they're enjoying themselves. But a lot of
Yeah,
times I look and you can see a lot of things happening at a show. You can see people releasing some stuff that they have had pent up. You can see some
yeah,
people, just having an emotional reaction for a lot of different reasons.
God,
You can
yeah,
see a lot of people partying, and maybe they haven't
yeah,
got to let loose in a long time because they've got twin babies at home and this is their first time out. Just like
right?
there's so many things and so many people going through so many things, and just looking at a crowd of everyone for the most part, just so happy to be there and so able to just let it go for 2 or 3 hours
Oh,
is such a
yeah, yeah.
beautiful thing.
And I don't know I don't know if you have one of these songs or not, but like the Stone
Mhm.
freaking kills me every time. Seeing it live, I'm like,
It's so good. It's so
I
good.
lose my mind. And Jim just like he just gives me a hug, or you and me. Some of it just is really touching. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you have a song like that that gets to you?
I mean, it's like they come in waves, right? And because life is up and down, and wherever you are in life, there's that song to kind of match up. And sometimes I don't even see it coming, like a song will be off because the catalog is so big, a song will be
Yeah.
off my radar and maybe I'll have forgotten about it, how we not forgotten, but like never really thought about it. And then, either it comes on Sirius XM or the whatever, or he plays it live and you're like, it's almost like it washes over you and you didn't even know you needed that. And that right
Uh-huh.
there is an addicting feeling. And that music has the ability to do that for me. Like literally I can feel like it crash into me.
Yeah.
I had to say it. I have to, right? I have to. All the puns, but it's a great feeling, and that's why I'm just always going to say in every episode that music in general, of course, is such a tool for so many people. There's a lot of people that don't like Dave Matthews Band for this, that, and the other reasons, and that's okay. But they have their own band, and they're able to find whatever it is that they're lacking in
Yeah.
that music. And so, we have all just kind of fell in love with the same band and the things that they're able to do for so many people. It's worth talking about, right? It's worth
Oh,
sharing and it's worth
sure.
documenting for sure, because one day this will all be in the past. And
Yeah.
what a great time to be alive, to be part of this tiny little time in history where all of this is happening, and just making sure that all of this is documented for our grandchildren and our great grandchildren to look back on and go, okay, there's
Yeah.
two sides of that story, and I see what was happening. And so I can't thank you enough for helping me, because that's my mission, is just to make
Oh,
sure
yeah,
that
for
every
sure.
fan story, so there's I can't get every fan story, but as many as I can put
Yeah.
together, so that when and if there is ever that question in his time, this will be documented well and people can look into it and study it and whatever they need to do. But also it's for us, right? For
Yeah.
those times later where we're going to need a pick me up, or maybe we've forgotten what this music, why are we listening to this? And now you can go back to this video or this podcast and re-listen to it and go, okay,
Oh,
time to
gosh.
refocus. This is what I needed or whatever. So, or just, even seeing growth. I have people that were on this show many seasons ago and have come back and reported their growth with and news stories, because we still have the band, right? And there is still plenty of time to make stories and celebrate,
Mhm.
we will, because memories are still being being made with this band. And so
That's what
I
gets
invite you to
around.
come back. It's not
Oh,
over until it's over. And I would love to see how your story continues. So, next year
yeah,
or the year after, please come back and
definitely.
update us all. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, especially after like this, this being like like a big milestone year, like, the 35th
Mm-hmm.
year. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, is there going to be anything? Is it just going to be like, not that anything's just a regular year, but like, is there something else? Is there something else
right,
brewing? Being
right.
that it's a 35th,
I know.
and actually, I do want to share something. So I was in a video production class, and I use "Funny the Way It Is" as like one of my and like starting like, and so I basically putting pictures to the whole song, which it just wow, like, and
You
and
made
like
you made this?
I made it. Yeah, it's on
I
YouTube
want a
somewhere.
copy of it. Oh, okay. Give me the link and I'll link it to the show links too.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's on YouTube. If not, I can upload it again. But I have just a copy that I watch every so often, but literally sitting and picking apart every part of that song and having to come up with some sort of like media, like,
Mhm.
like a soldier's last breath. You see a soldier, a lot of babies being born, and you're seeing like a newborn baby, and it just it's and then that's gonna be like my next tattoo. I think it's just gonna kind of revolve around that song and the fact that I took so much. It's just that song really like sits with me, and you
It
know,
does.
I love it. And so when I hear that live, I just like going out, I made a video to this song. So,
Such
on
such
my
perspective. Such perspective in that
yeah,
song, and
yeah. My
it gets
gosh.
me every time. It gets me every
It,
time,
it
and I
does.
love that. So, yeah,
It
send me a
does. Yeah.
picture when you get that, tattoo because I definitely wanna see.
Yes.
I'll send you a picture of mine.
Yes, please.
Such a great song, and again, I can't thank you enough. This has been
Oh,
so
thank
much
you
fun
for
for me
having
just
me.
to sit and chat and have, like, a girl day talking about
The
something that
girl
we
talk.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to do what Kristan just did, this was fun to listen to. Well, I invite you to do this. It is really simple. Kristan, I mean, was it hard to navigate all of this?
It's funny because I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And then when I asked you, I'm like, hey, like, because we've been trying to connect for,
Right.
a couple of months
Yes.
now. And I'm like, I forgot like why I reached out. Like, I know that she asked a question on Facebook and I popped right in there right away, like knowing like I was like, hey, like my ex-husband did not like it, but I did. And I made sure I started like listening to it, as soon as I could,
Mm-hmm.
or when things like settled, the dust settled. But then I thought like, okay, then you said whenever it was about you. And I'm like, well, crap, like we can talk, like it's girl talk, or if you're a guy, you can talk too. Like you're just getting to know each other. And I don't know, it feels like having both of us having the Dave Matthews Band connection, like it's just so easy,
Mhm. I agree.
right?
I agree. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what most
Super,
people
super
have said on the show. So, if you're feeling a little anxious but you wanna be on the show, and I like to tell everyone, you don't have to have. Everyone says, "Well, I don't have a story." I'm here to tell you that you're wrong and that you do because you
right.
are a fan, and every fan has a story. When did you ever hear
Every
when did you hear
yep,
of them? And then let's just talk about that. Let's just have a
yep,
conversation, and that's why this podcast is called The Space Between Podcast, a DMB fan discussion. These are not interviews. These are discussions of
yeah,
two fans getting together and talking about life and music and what that's done. So if you're interested, the easiest way to get connected, because social media gets really tough for me, guys. If you've listened to this podcast enough, you know that I'm a one-woman show. I do every single piece to this puzzle. Editing, recording, producing, all the social media, scheduling. I do it all. And so the easiest way to get to me is through email. And that email is, and I'm going to put it on the screen for those of you that are watching YouTube. It's just simply my name, Renae, Renae, at the space between podcast, dmb.com. We'll work out some times to do that. And that's as easy as it gets. You don't even have to tell me anything about your fan journey because I like to hear it for the very first time when we're recording. And another beautiful thing about recording is we never record live, which that would stress me out. That would stress me out if we were live right now. Would that stress you out?
it was yeah.
Yeah. I would be, I don't,
Sure.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I
I
couldn't handle
appreciate
that.
that.
Yeah,
What's that?
I couldn't handle it. I said I just couldn't handle it. So if you're thinking that like all of this is happening this is like a Zoom meeting. I see Kristan sees me, and that is how this works. And then it's all recorded. I edit it in case I say something stupid, which I promise you I do in every show. So it is a little edited.
Yeah. Hey, you have to.
It's good to have those safety nets. But if you're interested, send me an email and let me know that you're interested. And as far as who is next on the show, you never know. I try to put out a schedule. That way you can see who. It might be one of your friends, but you should make the list of who's coming out in 2026, because that is what I'm working on currently. We're recording this right now in December, and I am already scheduled out well into 2026. So definitely sign up now. And this is such a great thing because, again, this podcast does not work unless fans come forward, because I've shared my story. Kristan, you've shared your story. Now we have to have those that have not come before to share their story for this to keep working. So if you're enjoying this podcast, consider being a guest. If you know a fan that loves Dave Matthews Band, tell them about the Space Between podcast and tell them check it out. Tell them, hey, Renae wants to talk to you. Say whatever you need to say. Get them to send me an email. I would love to do that. But in the meantime, check us out on all the socials. Of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all of the things. Everything you can find, we are on there just simply under the Space Between podcast. So again, Kristan, thank you so much for being on the show today. Absolutely. Guys, yes. Until the next time, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.
Peace out, girl.